The Galactic Council had made their decision final. Humanity would be expelled from the trade networks, banned from all coalition space, and stripped of every diplomatic privilege earned over 3 decades. The official statement cited humanity's reckless expansion, dangerous individualism, and refusal to conform to civilized standards. Across 1,000 worlds, species celebrated the removal of the troublesome Earthlings. Commander James Rivers stood on the bridge of the UNSC Vanguard, watching the last human ships retreat from Council space. His jaw clenched as the official decree scrolled across his display. Behind him, his crew worked in silence, the sting of rejection burning deeper than any battle wound. "They'll regret this," his second officer muttered. James shook his head. "No, we'll just go home and build something better." The Galactic Coalition had existed for 12,000 years, a sprawling network of 600 species bound by tradition and careful regulation. Every member species had a designated role. The Krell manufactured goods with their 6 dexterous limbs. The Voth processed data through their hive consciousness. The Tarkans provided agricultural products from their humid worlds. Everything functioned smoothly, predictably, boringly, and humanity had arrived 30 years prior, and the entire system began showing cracks. Humans refused to stay in their assigned niche. Human merchants competed with Krell manufacturers. Human farmers developed techniques that tripled Turkan yields. Human programmers created AI systems that made Voth calculations obsolete. Worst of all, humans asked questions nobody had asked in millennia. Why do we do things this way? Could we do better? What if we tried something new? The Council tolerated humanity's disruptions at first, amused by the eager newcomers. But tolerance turned to irritation, then alarm. When human colonies began attracting immigrants from other species, offering opportunities and freedoms unavailable elsewhere, the Council acted. The expulsion vote passed unanimously, minus Earth's single objecting voice. 5 years passed. James had left military service and now managed a civilian transport company operating entirely within human space. Business thrived. With their access to Council markets cut off, humans had turned inward, developing their own colonies, trade routes, and technologies at a blistering pace. The message arrived on a Tuesday morning. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Council space," his communications officer announced. "It's marked urgent." James frowned. "From who?" "The Krell Trade Consortium. They're requesting an immediate meeting with any human authority." James felt his eyebrows rise. In 5 years, not a single Council species had initiated contact. "Put it through." The holographic display flickered, revealing a Krell merchant whose blue carapace showed stress patterns. "I am Broker Thelm of the Krell Consortium. I seek an audience regarding a matter of extreme urgency." "I'm listening," James replied. The Krell's mandibles clicked nervously. "Our manufacturing centers are failing. Production has dropped 40%. Our economy faces collapse." James kept his expression neutral. "That's unfortunate. What does it have to do with us?" "Everything," Thelm said quietly. "When humans left, they took their innovations. Our assembly processes relied on efficiency improvements human engineers developed. Our logistics systems used human routing algorithms. Our quality control implemented human statistical methods. We thought we could simply continue using these systems. We were wrong. They stopped working? No, they work perfectly. But they require constant adaptation and improvement. That's what humans did, every day, making small adjustments we never noticed. We don't think that way. We follow established patterns. When problems arise that require creative solutions, He paused. "We file reports and wait for committee decisions. By the time decisions are made, the problems have multiplied." James leaned back. You kicked us out for being too disruptive. Now you want us back because we're not disrupting you anymore? Theln's stress patterns deepened. I know how this sounds, but it's not just us. The Voth data networks are becoming obsolete. Human programmers were constantly updating and patching systems. The Tarkans can't maintain the agricultural equipment humans designed. Across the Coalition, we're discovering that humanity wasn't just participating in our economy. You were holding it together. Over the following weeks, more requests arrived. The Voth sent delegations. The Tarkans offered trade concessions. Even the proud Herians, who had led the expulsion vote, quietly inquired about hiring human consultants. The Galactic Council itself remained silent. Bound by pride and bureaucracy, then the Blight arrived. The plague started in the Outer Rim. A fungal infection that consumed organic matter with terrifying speed. It spread across 3 sectors before anyone realized the danger. Entire agricultural worlds went dark. The Tarkans, primary food suppliers for 600 species, lost colony after colony. The Coalition's response followed proper procedures. Committees formed. Studies were commissioned. Reports were filed. Quarantine protocols were debated. While they deliberated, species-starved James watched the news feeds with growing horror. How many dead? He asked his intelligence officer. Estimates suggest 2 billion, sir, and rising exponentially. What are they doing about it? Following containment procedures established 4,000 years ago for a completely different pathogen. The procedures aren't working. James closed his eyes. 5 years of bitter isolation warred with old instincts. These people had thrown humanity away. They'd made their choice, but people were dying. He opened a channel to Earth's government. This is Commander Rivers. I'm requesting permission to organize a humanitarian mission to Coalition space. The response came within hours. Earth's president appeared on screen, her face drawn. The Council hasn't asked for help. They haven't even acknowledged the crisis publicly. They won't ask. That would mean admitting they need us. If we go uninvited, they might see it as an invasion. James met her gaze. Then they can shoot us. But I'm not sitting here watching billions die because of politics. Within 48 hours, a fleet of human vessels crossed into Coalition space without authorization. They carried medical teams, agricultural specialists, and most importantly, human scientists who looked at the Blight and immediately began asking the questions nobody else had thought to ask. Why does it spread faster in certain conditions? What if we modify the atmosphere? Could we engineer a competing organism? What haven't we tried yet? The Coalition's border forces moved to intercept. Then quietly they stood down. The Council said nothing, but they didn't interfere. Human teams deployed across infected worlds. They worked without rest, trying approach after approach. Traditional methods failed. Then a team led by Dr. Lisa Park made a breakthrough. The Blight wasn't a simple fungus. It was a symbiotic system, and one component was vulnerable to a modified Earth bacteria. Within weeks, the plague spread halted. Within months, infected worlds began recovering. The Galactic Council still refused official contact. But individual species had no such restrictions. The Krell Consortium offered trade agreements. The Voth requested educational exchanges. The Tarkans proposed joint colonies. Across Coalition space, species that had celebrated humanity's expulsion now competed to attract humans back. James stood in his office 2 years after the Blight, reviewing the latest reports. Human companies now operated in 60 Coalition sectors. Human universities had established branches on 40 worlds. 300 million humans lived and worked in Council space, and the number grew daily. A message arrived from Earth's embassy on the Coalition capital world. The Galactic Council had finally issued a statement. James opened it, curious what 12,000 years of pride would allow them to say. The statement was brief. Recognizing the contributions of humanity to galactic stability and prosperity, the Galactic Council hereby rescinds all previous restrictions on human participation in coalition affairs. Full membership privileges are restored. No apology. No acknowledgement of error. Just a bureaucratic reversal, presented as if it had been their idea all along. James almost laughed. Then he thought of the billions saved from the blight, the thriving trade networks, the species learning to ask, what if instead of following ancient patterns? The Council could keep their pride. Humanity had something better. His communications officer interrupted his thoughts. Sir, we're receiving a request from a Krell colony. They're having problems with their manufacturing systems again. Same issues as before? No, sir. They're trying to implement a new production process, but it's not working as planned. They're asking if we can help them figure out why. James smiled. That was the real change. Not that humans had returned to coalition space, but that other species were finally learning to innovate, to experiment, to occasionally fail and try again. Humanity hadn't just brought solutions. They'd brought a different way of thinking about problems. Tell them we'll send a team, he said, and remind them that the best solutions usually come from working together and being willing to try something nobody's tried before. The Galactic Coalition had kicked humanity out, convinced they were better off without Earth's disruptive presence. They'd learned the hard way that sometimes the most valuable thing a civilization can offer isn't conformity or tradition. Sometimes it's the courage to ask uncomfortable questions and the stubborn heart